Being in prison is one of the worst things that can happen to anyone, but there are prisons that are hell and falling into them can mean your worst nightmare. In some there are no human rights, which will lead you to madness.
Welcome, my name is Hector Vega, and today I'm going to talk about the prisoner's rights.
During the 19th century, in the United States, the courts preferred prisoners as slaves of the state. Currently, the court reorganized that prisoners have some rights, but they have less than free citizens. However, in the United States, there is no authority to monitor prisons conditions and enforce safety and health standards, since there are many prisoners per jail, where there are often not enough staff to monitor and ensure that your rights are fulfilled. To begin with, the right to freedom of expression was almost ended until Procurator B. Martinez in 1974. The inmates alleged the censorship of their emails on the grounds that it violated the right to freedom of expression, since there was a rule that prohibited letters that were critical of prisons, where they established that this law could be accommodated for prison officers. For example, a person could send photos or letters as long as they are not dangerous or harm someone. In turn, one of the most important rights that is generally more frequently violated is the right to free from cruel or unusual punishments, since the Eighth Amendment prohibits it. Yet, millions of Americans are incarcerated in overcrowded prisons that are violent and inhumane, where they suffer rape and are not given adequate health care, such as suicide prevention treatment. The most common punishment is confinement, according to a study that shows that currently 60,000 people are in confinement for 23 hours a day, where in the long term they suffer anxiety, paranoia, perceptual disturbance, and deep depression. At the national level, suicides among people confined in isolation represent 50% of all suicides in prison. A big problem with prison is that because there is a large overpopulation, states have to use private prisons where prisoners are treated like merchandise. The United States has the largest private prison population in the world. Studies have shown that inmates who have been in private prisons have higher recidivism rates than those in public prisons. Another very important issue is about prison workers, which generate millions in goods and services annually, yet are paid pennies an hour and have no development opportunities. The University of Chicago, Law School Global Human Rights Clinic, and the American Civil Liberties Union surveyed more than 100 workers currently behind bars in 3 states, Illinois, Louisiana, and California, and conduct 65 experts interviews. According to the results of the interviews that were carried out with the imprisoned workers, they said that they have inadequate training, punishment, distribute if the workers refuse to work, and a general impotence for government institutions that function as jailer and boss. According to 65 of the prisoners are working. Of these, 76% report punishments such as solitary confinement, denial of sentence, reduction, or loss of family visits if they refuse to work. They have no control of your assignments, they have no minimum wage of overtime protection, they do not receive adequate training or equipment, security warranties are denied. 64% report that they are concerned about their safety. 70% say that they did not receive job training, and 70% say that they cannot afford basic necessities such as soap and phone calls. 6 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and South Carolina and Texas, pay nothing for the vast majority of prison labor. Some states pay 52 cents an hour and have 80% of your check withheld for taxes. Jennifer Turner, senior human rights researcher at the ACLU Human Rights program said, incarcerated workers are stripped of even the most minimal protection against labor exploitation and abuse. They are paid pennies for their work, even as they produce billions of dollars for the states and the federal government. The exploitation of workers comes the exception clause of the 13th Amendment, which prohibits slavery except for people who have been convicted of crimes. So in several states, prisoners are allowed to be mistreated and exploited. Also, this clause in the 13th Amendment disproportionately encourages the criminalization and reinstallation of blacks during the Jim Crow era. To combat the exploitation of workers, it is necessary that the work be voluntary and that people who cannot or do not want to work are not punished, allow the same labor protection such as a minimum wage, health and safety, given training, invest in programs that help them with their business skills so they can find employment after release, amendment the U.S. Constitution to abolish the 13th Amendment exclusion, allowing slavery and involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime. In conclusion, the United States has a big problem regarding the rights of prisoners. Many of these problems come from the overcrowding of prisons, which is why they go to private prisons where their rights are not respected. They are treated badly and they are not provided psychological help or appropriate health treatments. Therefore, in my opinion, to solve these problems, the government of each state must ensure that prison workers are doing well their job and there is not corruption within prisons. Thank you for watching the video.